Hello, do you like to launch paper airplanes? Would you like to sail your own model boat? Would you like to learn how to make your own wind-up car? If so, stay tuned for Wolf Adventure, Motor Away. Hi, my name is Mr. John, and I'm Cub Master of Pack 802 in Aberdeen, Maryland, part of the Hartford District, Baltimore Area Council. I'd like to say thank you for continuing to scout at home by purchasing this adventure box. During this adventure, scouts will make and fly 3 different types of paper airplanes. Instructions for each of these planes are found in the Wolf Handbook in the Motor Away Adventure, starting on page 256. Inside your Wolf Adventure box, you'll find this kit that you can use to make your own Regatta or Regatta style sailboat. Here are 2 examples of the types of boats that you can make using your kit. Additionally, scouts will make a second sailboat design using materials you can find in your own home. For example, this boat here was made from a small soda bottle, some popsicle sticks, and some pieces of a pool noodle that we cut to make the pontoons. Alternatively, if you don't have materials like this at your home, you can also make a simple paper boat. Finally, scouts will also learn how to make a self-propelled vehicle like this Spool Car. This car is made with a spool of thread, a pencil, a rubber band, and 2 washers. Additionally, we'll also talk about alternative vehicle designs such as this Hovercraft, made using just a blank CD, a plastic nozzle, and a balloon. For this first airplane, we're going to work on the Aero Design, which is located on page 259 of your Wolf Scout Handbook. We'll briefly look at the steps involved. We're going to begin by folding the paper in half lengthwise. Second step is we're going to fold the top corners in to make equilateral triangles at the top of the page. Then we're going to fold the sides over again to meet the center to make the point of the airplane sharper. We'll flip the airplane over and fold it in half again down the center so that the folds that we just made in the previous steps are on the outside of the plane. And then for this last step, we're going to make a crease to make our wing about 1 inch up from the tip. All right, so let's get started. So this is a normal 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. I'm going to start by folding it in half on the long side. And this doesn't have to be perfect, but the closer you are to having nice even lines, the more symmetrical the final plane will be, which will help it fly better. All right, for our second step, we're going to fold these top corners down and line it up with the center of the page. And the same on the left side. All right, and as mentioned, we're going to fold to make a tighter tip. So we're taking the edge of the previous fold and lining it up on the center. So edge of the previous folds. And you want to be careful to make sure that it folds tight at the tip. So, all right, feel free to crease all the folds that we just made. Make sure they're nice and tight. All right, we're gonna flip the paper upside down so the folds are underneath us. And we're gonna fold the plane over across its midpoint in the opposite direction of our original fold. So now we've got the folds that we made are on the outside of the plane. And for this final step, we're going to measure about 1 inch from the tip of the plane. So we've got a nice grid here, and we're going to start our fold there. And we want the fold to be even so that we've got a pretty consistent, about 1/2 of an inch at the base of the plane beneath the wing. And once again, this doesn't have to be any exact measurement, but this gives us a little bit of a tip before our wings start. And for this other side, it helps to line up your back, so that way you've got the wings kind of line up the same, and then the front of the plane will crease at the same point for both sides of the wings. So once again, this is the Aero Design, and this is what it should look like in its complete form. For the second design, we're going to fold the Delta model plane located on page 262 of the Wolf Handbook. Once again, we'll walk through the steps and then we'll get folded. So the very first step, we're going to take our 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper and fold it in half on the long side. We'll open that up and fold it in half again on the short side. And that way we've got 4 common sized rectangles at each of the corners of the page. Then we're going to take the 2 outside corners of the paper and fold them inward along the center line, leaving about 1 inch of unfolded space on each side of the plane. Our third step is we're going to take the tip of the plane and we're going to fold it down so this flat line lines up with where the other 2 points came together in step 2. Our fourth step, this is probably the trickiest of this entire fold, is folding the wing inward so that this outer point lines up along the center line. And you're going to have a little bit of an angle on the tip here. Then we're going to take both sides of the plane, fold them over along the center, and then similar to the previous design, we're going to fold the wings over, leaving about 1 inch from the tip. So let's go ahead and fold it. So we're going to fold along the long edge. Open it up and make a fold along the short edge. All right, with the paper in this orientation, we're going to take this outer corner and fold it in to the center of the page. And same thing for the other wing. And as stated, you can see we've got just about 1 inch at the front of the plane before this top fold goes over. All right, for the next step, we're going to take this flat edge and fold it down so that this center line matches where other points just ended up. And go ahead and make sure all your creases are down. All right, this step is the trickiest for me, but we're going to take this corner here and we're going to bring it over so that it lines up on the center. And you can see we've got maybe about 1/4 of an inch at the top of the plane between the center mark and this corner. We're going to do the same thing on this side. We're going to take this corner, we're going to fold it over so that it also lines up at the center point. And crease that. Should look something like this. Now we're going to take both sides and fold them across. So all the folds are on the inside of the plane right now. And now we're going to move about 1 inch from the front edge, and we're going to fold over straight back. And then to make the second wing line up with the first, I'm going to take this corner and bring that down first and follow the edge of the wing all the way up to the right fold. And we'll crease that. All right, so there we have it. This is design number 2, the Delta. Should look something like this. All right, for our third design, we're going to fold the dart plane located on page 263 of the Wolf Handbook. So once again, we'll walk through the steps. So first step is very similar to what we did on our initial plane. We're going to fold the paper in half on the long edge. Second step, we'll fold the corners down so we have 2 isometric triangles at the tip of the plane. Our third step is folding that wing over again to tighten the center crease, and we'll have a sharper point at the top. All right, and to differentiate from our first design, the next step, we're going to take the tip of the plane and fold it inward to make the nose flat. We're going to flip the plane over so the flat side is up and all of our folds are beneath it. At that point, we're going to fold the plane in half, and then the folds will be located on the outside. And you notice the tip that we folded inward previously is pointed backwards on the plane. All right, and our final step, we're going to fold the wing over, making it parallel with the base of the plane. All right, let's get started. All right, first step, folding our paper in length on the long edge, and doing our best to keep our corners lined up. Okay, I'm going to open up that fold and fold my corners down to the center to start the nose of the plane. And same thing on the left side. All right, step 3, fold the outside edge over so it's lined up along the center line. And once again, be careful to keep the tip nice and tight if you can. And same thing on the left. All right, now we're going to take the tip of the plane and we're going to fold it inward so that it lines up with the intersection of the center line and our previous fold. And at this point, I'm just going to go over all my creases and make sure they're nice and smooth. Okay, I'm going to flip the plane upside down so the flat side is up. All of our folds are beneath it. And I'm going to fold the plane along the center line, so the opposite direction of our original fold. And our final step to create the wings, I'm going to take this front area, which is a little bit over an inch. I'm going to divide it in half. I'm going to fold that in a straight line so that it runs parallel to the bottom of the plane, all the way across. And you may need to press hard near the tip because we've got multiple layers of paper lined up over the top of each other. And same thing on the opposite side. And I bring my back corners together so they line up. And there you have it. This concludes folding of the Dart model plane. Should look something like this.
Now that we built all 3 airplanes, it's time to test them out. We're gonna throw each plane 3 times and average their distance. The first design we're testing is the Aero. Let's try it out. Next, we'll test the Delta. Delta round 2. Delta round 3. Our final design is the Dart. Let's test it. Dart round 2. Dart take 3.
Let's take a moment to review our results. As you can see, we measured the distance for all 3 throws on all 3 of our model airplanes. Because each model airplane had at least one throw that was significantly shorter than the rest, we decided to drop the lowest score. We then averaged the top 2 results, giving us an overall distance of 23 feet for the Aero, 22 feet for the Delta, and 40 feet for the Dart. How did your airplanes do? And why do you think the different designs contributed to these differences in range? Now that we have all 3 planes designed and we've tried throwing them to measure how far each can fly, we're going to modify the design slightly to see how they'll fly with the use of a paper airplane launcher. To do that, we're going to deviate slightly from the instructions of the book and enhance our design with nothing more than a paper clip. So we're going to take a paper clip and bend it open and insert it in the tip of the plane, just like this. And using a stapler, I'm going to staple through the plane inside the paper clip. And you may want to do this 2 or 3 times for some additional reinforcement. And so now, as you can see, I have our simple Aero design with the addition of a paper clip hook on the front of it. And this hook can be used in conjunction with a rubber band to provide some additional launch capability to our airplane. Now that we've launched all 3 airplanes using just the propulsion from our arm, we're going to try launching them with this rubber band. Be sure to make sure nobody is downrange from the plane before you launch. So now that we've flown our planes, let's talk about what's making them fly. What kind of force are we using to make our planes move forward and motor away?
We can use our arms to use the power to fly it.
All right, and then what about when we're using the launcher? What is creating the energy there?
We use the power of the rubber band.
No, so when we pull the rubber band back, it stores some energy and potential energy, and when we let it go, it creates kinetic energy. Pretty cool, huh? Inside the Wolf 2 Adventure box, you'll find this Rain Gutter Regatta kit. This kit can be used to complete portion of Requirement 2, building and floating a model boat. Let's take a look and see what's inside this kit. So the Rain Gutter Regatta kit is comprised of this instruction sheet, the main hull of the catamaran style boat, a wooden mast, 2 balsa wood catamaran pontoons, a set of screws, a sticker kit, a small sanding stick, and a plastic sail. Before you assemble your kit, you want to take some time to follow the instructions. But basically, you'll be using the sanding stick to file down the edge of each block to round it out in more of a boat shape. From there, you'll assemble your kit by lining up your hull over your pontoons and connecting them with these screws. Finally, after decorating your sail, you'll insert your mast through these holes and attach to your boat like so. Some examples of some completed boats look like this. Feel free to use markers or paint or any stickers you may have to decorate your boat however you'd like.
For this part, I made 2 boats. One is plastic with popsicle sticks and a soda bottle, and the other one is paper.
All right, so what are we gonna do now?
We're gonna test them.
All right, let's see if they float.
First, we're gonna try out the paper.
So it floats, but you know what I think would help it?
What?
Pick it up and spread the bottom open more. Like spread it out. So stick your finger up in the hole in the middle and spread that out wider. Yeah, now put it in. Much better. Check that out. So we can get all the way around, and it's just a piece of paper. It's definitely floating. So what do you think will happen once the paper gets fully wet and it soaks up all the water?
It's gonna fall apart.
It's gonna fall apart and sink. So, but yeah, a piece of paper can float
So
if you
doing it
fold it up.
right over here.
All right, why don't we set that one on the towel, and then we'll try out boat number 2. So,
This is a special one.
so boat 2, it has the popsicle sticks glued to the bottom, and hopefully that'll make it so it doesn't tip over. I think if we
This
did,
is a sail.
those are like outriggers. So if we didn't have the popsicle sticks, I think the bottom would just tip over unless we put a lot of weight in the bottom of it.
Yeah.
So let's see if it floats with not tip over. All right.
Ooh. It's falling on
Yeah,
one
it's tipping a
side.
bit. So, but I bet if the water was deeper, maybe it would be okay. But yeah, the sail definitely makes it a little top heavy. So it's not sinking; it floats, but it might tip over if we. All right, so maybe what do you think we could do? Maybe
Add some more water.
we could add more water in the pool to make it deeper. But if we had something else that floated on the tips of these, then they wouldn't dunk under the water. Maybe we need to put some more floaty stuff on our outriggers. So do you think we could try again and put some extra floaty stuff on the outriggers to see if that'll help it?
Yeah.
All right, let's pause and we'll take a break.
Alright guys, we're back. And we looked around the house to find some stuff that could float. And the best thing that we found was a pool noodle. So we cut some pieces of the pool noodle and glued them to the side of the boat. And we think this will make it so the boat can't tip over.
All right, you ready to do test number 2?
Yep.
Okay, let's check it out.
Perfectly.
Nice. All right, so pull it back this way and get behind it and blow in the sail. Nope, move the boat to the back of the river.
Oh.
All right, and get behind it and give it a good blow. See what happens. Oh yeah, cool.
Maybe we should test it out again and put it in more. So like
Yeah.
a bigger thing. So that it has more space to move.
All right, so what did we learn? We learned that we could make some boats that float using common household materials.
Yeah.
We used for this project a piece of paper. We used a soda bottle. That looks like it's a 1 liter or maybe a 3/4 liter bottle. We used 3 popsicle sticks, a piece of a pool noodle, and some hot glue. All right.
And some hot glue.
I bet that boat would do an excellent job floating in some pretty bumpy water now that it has those outriggers.
Yep.
Awesome. All right, thumbs up. Now that we know your boat can float, let's try to find some bigger water to test it out.
Hey, you think this would work?
Perfect. I don't think we put a motor on your boat. How are we going to make it motor away?
Maybe we can blow on the sails and see what happens.
Those are some nice boats you have there. Do you want to race?
Yes.
All right. 3, 2, 1, go.
Yes, I won!
Ah, good job. Why do you think blowing on the boats made them move forward?
I think when we blew on the boats, it gave it pressure to move forward.
Oh yeah, so air pressure on the sail made it move. Let's try it one more time. Pretty cool, huh? For this next requirement, we'll be assembling the spool car, as demonstrated on page 272 of your Wolf Handbook. For this adventure, you'll need the following materials: a spool, a rubber band, 2 metal washers, 2 paper clips, some common tape, and a pencil. Let's get started. The first step is I'm going to take this paper clip and straighten it out until I only have one small curved portion left. I'm going to loop it around the rubber band and use that to thread it through my spool. That way it's like a fish tape. Makes it easier to get the rubber band through. And on the one side of the rubber band, I'm going to feed my second paper clip. All right, so this paper clip is going to be used to hold the rubber band at this end of the spool. And I'm just going to bend it a little bit so that it fits entirely inside the spool face. All right, we'll secure this to the spool using some tape. Okay, on the other end of the spool, we're going to place our 2 washers over the end of the rubber band. All right, so it should look just like this. Finally, we're going to take our pencil and feed it through the opening in the rubber band. And this will create the basic design for our spool car. So in order to add propulsion to our car, we're going to create some stored potential energy in our rubber band by rotating the spool backwards or towards us in a clockwise direction. And because this end of the spool is taped down with the paper clip, the rubber band is developing a twist in it. And what you'll see in a moment, the purpose for these 2 washers is to create separation between the pencil and the spool, and that'll allow the spool to spin more freely Whereas if we did not have the washers, there would be friction between the spool and the pencil and the design wouldn't work. All right, so now that we've gotten a rotation on this, let's go ahead and give it a try and see what happens. So I've got the rubber band spiraled up inside of here, and when I let go, I would expect the spool to unwind. There we have it. All right, so one observation I have with this basic design is when we initially released this, the spool spun very quickly and it was actually spinning out on the smooth surface of my mat here. And so I think one way we can improve this is by creating some additional friction. So I'm going to suggest that we add 2 additional rubber bands to this project. And what we're going to do is we're going to make some homemade tires on our spool to create a little bit more friction between the spool and the surface that we're riding on. And to do that, I'm just going to carefully wrap these so that a little bit of the rubber band is on the outside of the spool. And for this size rubber band, it looks like I need 3 turns around it. And just be patient and work it so that we've got a little bit of a tire on here. All right, so I think this will add a little bit more friction on that side. Let's take our final rubber band and do the same thing on this side. I'm gonna take it and try to keep it as flat as I can and twist it. Bring that around, twist it. And connect it there. All right, so now we've got some rubber band acting as some tires on our design. We'll go ahead and twist it in a clockwise direction again towards us. Oh, it looks like this inner tire slipped off a bit. So let's try to pull that back up. And it doesn't have to be perfect. I think a little bit of the rubber is going to create enough friction to help it out. All right, let's see if our design does any better this time. Okay, there you have it. We didn't spin out. So once again, this is Spool Car, page 272 of the Wolf Handbook. Feel free to use your imagination to build other vehicle designs using supplies you have at home. For example, you could use common building blocks to assemble a small car with wheels and use this balloon to propel it. Alternatively, you could use something like a common CD and a nozzle and another balloon to assemble a hovercraft. You can experiment with your hovercraft design by using nozzles with different size holes in them. This hole, or this nozzle, is just a soda bottle cap with a small hole drilled in it, whereas this nozzle has a larger hole and it's from a garden hose fitting. This specific nozzle here is one that I created on my 3D printer as a copy of this garden hose design. Let me show you how the hovercraft works. So I took the nozzle and used hot glue to glue it to the bottom of the CD and placed a balloon over the end of the nozzle. I inflate the balloon, and when I release it, the air will come out at the bottom of the nozzle and go underneath the CD, creating lift. And then it'll provide a hovercraft effect.
Let's give a hovercraft idea a try.
Try sliding it without blowing up the balloon. See if it slides. Not really, right?
Yeah.
So
it kind of has the same effect as a puck on an air hockey table.
yeah, that's exactly what's happening. We've got a cushion of air underneath the CD, and it causes it to slide. Yeah. Pretty cool, huh? Mm-hmm. Use your imagination and see what you can build. Alright guys, thank you for watching this video and for doing your part to ensure that scouting continues during this challenging time. If you've stuck with me this far, then congratulations on completing the Wolf Adventure Motor Away. Finally, if you have any questions about what you learned during this adventure, or you'd like to participate in a Zoom meeting with other scouts that completed this adventure virtually, please email me at cubmaster@pack802md.com.